What's up, guys? It's Riley here with my co-host Dalton, and this is True North Sports. And we are filming this on October 21st at 8:49 p.m. Central. We are close to being about 24 hours away from tip-off for the 24-25 regular season for Minnesota Timberwolves. Dalton, how are we feeling?
Yeah, I mean, Dalton Connect, Dillingham,
That's your boy.
two of my favorite rookies in this class who are going to be big parts of playoff teams. So a big time matchup, and that's tomorrow, right? That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow night.
Timberwolves are looking a lot different, dude. A lot different, man. I still can't really get over the Karl-Anthony Towns trade, but Julius Randle, I'm hyped. I want to see him against his old squad, the team that drafted him. D'Angelo Russell supposedly had the best offseason of his career, according to him. So I'm hyped, man. I think there's a lot of star power. Obviously, Anthony Edwards being in the top 10 for ESPN rankings, maybe a little low at 10, but still in the top 10, Rye. What's your thoughts?
First things first. Shout out D'Lo. But I think this is his 9th year of having his best offseason. Year 9 of D'Lo having but no, shout out D'Lo. It will be interesting to see him run against the Wolves. We do love D'Lo around here. Big fans of that trade when it went down. But yeah, I'm super excited to see LeBron. What is this year 22? Is that what we're in now, or is it 21? I have no idea. 23 is it his jersey number? Who knows? I mean, he's aging like fine wine. I don't see him slowing down anytime soon, at least. I do think we'll see Bronny tomorrow, so they can have a moment together. I don't know if it's going to be in the starting lineup. My roommate Braden said he thinks he will start, and then they'll just pull him right away. I don't know if they'll do that, but I do think he'll play at some point, so that'll be cool. But yeah, I think the Lakers are going to start with D'Lo, Reeves, then Bron, Rui, and AD. JJ Redick said they're going to use that lineup, and last year they were 18-6 as starters. So it's not going to be a pushover. I think the Wolves I saw were favored by 1.5 in LA, 9 p.m. tip, TNT. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, just a completely different Wolves team from last year, and a lot of just possible question marks. But a guy who needs to be getting a lot of minutes, dude, a lot of minutes, is our boy Dante DiVincenzo. He needs to get those minutes, man. I'm really hyped to watch him play, especially next to Anthony Edwards, because I think he's the best piece next to him outside of Jaden. I really do. I think end of game, if you want to run point Ant, because Mike's obviously getting a little older, I'm fine with that, and just spread the floor. Maybe go to Julius late in the game compared to Karl-Anthony Towns. It's just going to be a lot of question marks, but I think you can steal this one early. Get the wheels rolling. Get Chris Finch on his game, dude. Chris Finch, please, dude, come with the game plan, man. You've been rolling with the same lineup practically your whole coaching career in Minnesota. It's going to be a lot different. You got Rob Dillingham. Please use him. But yeah, I'm excited, Ryan. I'm excited. But what's kind of your biggest thing going in the matchup?
So, I'm happy you bring up Dante DiVincenzo because he's a guy that I've had my eyes on for plenty of time. Back in the 2018 draft, after he had that run in Villanova, I really wanted the Wolves to draft him. Unfortunately, he didn't quite fall to us, and we took our boy Okogie. But Dante, before I get into his impact, let me spit a few numbers at you for you here. Dante over 12.5 points, minus 104. I think that's a really low number for a guy who you kind of alluded to, and I agreed. This could be the second best player on the Timberwolves. This could be the second best player behind Anthony Edwards on the Minnesota Timberwolves. And to have this number so low. And so then I'm going to kind of pair that with over 2.5 threes. That's minus 111. That's a no-brainer. And then I'm going to kind of ladder those threes. So then I did Dante 4+ threes. That's plus 260. And then Dante 5+ threes plus 550 for 5 threes. In these preseason games, we saw him chucking up about 8 or 9. And he's playing a couple quarters, right? Like I envision that he's going to shoot 10, 11 threes tomorrow. He's going to have a huge volume from 3. So I love that ladder there. And then I'll throw these last two bets out there quick. Julius over 7.5 rebounds at plus money, plus 108. And then Jaden over 9.5 points at plus money, plus 102. Just a few betting numbers out there. But back to Dante, just a huge impact for this team. Great cutter, great shooter. We think he could. The sky's the limit for him or for him on this team, and he really unlocks everything for what he can do. I think it's a great fit just because he's going to have the keys way more than he did anywhere else in his career, and they're really going to let him be him and thrive.
Yeah, I mean, just adding the punch off the bench with Dante and Rob Dillingham moving forward, that's something that the Timberwolves have never really had. I'm a little bit worried with Dillingham moving forward being next to Ant because he reminds me a lot of like Lou Williams, a guy who can go get you a bucket, but I want the ball in Ant's hands late in the game. So if Dillingham does replace Mike as the point guard moving forward, he's gonna want the rock. He's that type of guy who might take shots, but he can also make those shots. So I'm really excited to see those two go at it, especially if Bronny's guarding both those guys. I think it's an interesting matchup, and I still cannot believe that it's tomorrow. Like I can't get it through my head that we get to watch Anthony Edwards suit up.
Basketball.
Yeah, James, Anthony Davis, and like we just mentioned, Dante DiVincenzo, Dalton Connect. I mean, these are fun guys to watch, dude. I think it's going to be primetime television, opening night. Let's get it right.
Yeah, I was just going to say, speaks to the progress of this team. Who would have thought that we're playing, 4 teams are playing on opening night, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are one of them. If you asked us that question even 3 years ago, what would you have said if you told us that in 2024 they would be one of 4 teams that's on opening night? I mean, so it's just fantastic the state that the team is in. I do want to one more little footnote on this Dante thing as we kind of string Rob along, because I do think he is extremely raw still, and there's a lot of polishing that needs to be done, even though I'm super excited to have him. I think for the near future, post Mike, it could be Dante and Ant as the backcourt of the future. Dante's really showed his playmaking. The Wolves have been really impressed with that. So maybe he is kind of that backcourt mate for a while. And maybe you touched on Lou Will. That doesn't mean Dillingham doesn't have a place here. It just means maybe he's a super 6 man,
Yeah, bucket. And
absolutely.
Sometimes because Jaden McDaniels wasn't doing it all the time. I mean, you just need a bucket sometimes. But give me your thoughts on Julius Randle. I know you took the over for rebounds, which I'm all for that, especially when Rudy's not in the game and Nas subs in. Julius is going to be aggressive. He's kind of like Carmelo, where he'll get 2 or 3 rebounds that he's like, hey, that's mine. It's like, all right, dude, get yours. Yes, yeah, get yours, I guess. But what do you think about Julius Randle going against his old squad?
Yeah, Julius kind of bounced around a little bit now, but he's just such a really good ball player. And I think he's bought in with the Wolves. He's mentioned like Chris Finch a lot because Chris Finch did coach him in that season that he had in New Orleans when Julius was there one season. So they go back to there, and he's mentioned that he trusts Finch. So I think he is bought in. I don't think he's going to be selfish. That was one of my biggest things right after the trade. I was like, man, this is, is he going to have the right attitude? Because this is a pretty good bunch of guys right now who they understand, that Ant's alpha and he's going to get his. But besides that, everybody else just wants, it could be spread out on who's going to succeed. And they're all happy for each other. It's like you added a guy who's going to want to take 15 plus shots a game, probably closer to 20 if we're being honest. He had it his way. But yeah, I took the over on the rebounds because it's plus money. He's going to get those thug rebounds that you're kind of talking about where you're just getting in there, you're getting dirty. The Wolves haven't really had a guy like that since Jared Vanderbilt, who's not afraid to take a bow while going in there and getting a rebound. So I think he's going to have a few of those. And besides Rudy, we don't really have that much size anymore that's out there like as far as like tall to steal boards. So he's going to be battling with Ant, Jaden, everybody else. But I think, like you said, he's going to have that mellow in him where he just sees that ball and he's like, hey, everybody else get out of here. This is part of my contract. Like, I get to have 8 boards a night. I get to go get 5 boofy assists, holding the rock for 20 seconds and then passing it. with 4 on the shot clock, so I get an assist. But no, I do like Julius. I'm higher on him than most are. My roommate Braden, huge Wolves fan, but he's not super high on Julius. I'm more sold on him, but I'll ask you your thoughts on him before we wrap up here. What do you think of Julius?
Yeah, I mean, he's probably gonna have to play a lot of minutes, dude. I'm low key kind of worried about Rudy. I think he's gonna miss some games this year, and if he misses time, Nas and Julius are gonna have to play almost every minute. I mean, every minute. So hopefully he's in shape. You know, we've seen a lot. We've seen him fluctuate, dude. Where there's times where I'm like, man, this guy is like,
he's got cut. Some bounce. Looks good.
Yeah, and then there's some times where I'm like, geez, dude, you're looking like who's that Lofton Jr. yeah, like, which I don't mind. He can ball in both formats. He'll bully you up, he'll burn you sometimes. But yeah, hopefully he's just in shape because I think he's gonna play a lot of minutes, and for good or for worse, he's gonna play some minutes.
Well, and he's had some injuries. He's had the knee stuff, some hand stuff, I think, too, shoulder, kind of everywhere. And if he comes in here looking like DJ Burns, who knows what's going to happen. So, I mean, I don't know. But you got anything else to add before we wrap up here? I mean, it's 9 p.m. We're looking at about exactly 24 hours before tip.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this new roster, dude. I think you got deeper as a team, and that's important.
Strength in numbers.
Yeah, like look at that bench, dude. You got Dillingham, and then you can have Dante coming off the pine and Nas. Like you got a point guard, a perimeter guy, and a big.
Dude, that bench is like a 10 or 11 seed.
Right? All those guys are starting on a lot of Timberwolves teams.
You know what I'm saying? Like if they were an expansion team, they'd be like a 10 or 11 seed.
Oh, dude, I mean, I'm so happy. I was just talking about Nas because I saw the Nas Reed flags for the Vikes game. The fact that he took a pay cut, I think, is really going to come to fruition this year, man. Because if Rudy does miss a little bit of time, Julius does miss a little bit of time, Nas is going to have to take all of those minutes. And you might have to slide Jaden down to the 4, play Dante, Dillingham, Ant. That lineup, we might see a lot this year. And I'm interested to see if Finch actually does that because – oh my gosh, tune me in when all those guys are playing together.